So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up automated budgeting with Mint.com. And you're going to be able to automate your budgeting in well under an hour. And that is going to save you hours and hours of pain and headache and probably tons of money in the process too. So what we're going to do today is automate your budgeting process. We're going to make it super simple, as painless as possible, and as effortless as possible so that you have to do very little and you're still staying on track of your finances. So most of the budgeting problems that people have is related to things being too complicated. You have money in a million different accounts. You have this credit card with this company and this credit card with Chase and this debit card with Wells Fargo. You have this loan with your student loan company, and you can't keep track of all the stuff that's happening because you got a bill on the 1st of the month and then the 15th and the 31st. And there's a lot of different stuff going on, and you can't keep track of it because it's just too much work, and it's not fun to have to try to stay on top of all that all at the same time. So really the way you solve that issue is financial consolidation and budgeting. So by being able to see all of your money and accounts in one place, you will have a much better overview of where your money's at, what your net worth is, and even know your credit score, know when your bills are coming, and planning around that kind of stuff, seeing what your spending behavior has been so that you can then plan for the future and set a budget around that. So what I'm going to do with you here is set you up with a Mint account, walk you through exactly how to set up a Mint account so that you can utilize this automated budgeting process to stay on top of your money. So the game plan is to set you up with an account with Mint, link all your other financial accounts into Mint, and then teach Mint to categorize your spending so that it knows how to categorize different types of things like food and whatever. And then it'll be able to tell you insightful information that you can use. You'll put in your reoccurring bills so that you can plan to pay your bills and be notified by Mint of bills that are upcoming, so you don't have to be worrying about when you have bills coming in. And then you'll take some time to analyze your past behavior so that you can set your budget for the future and plan around that to meet your goals. So it just makes the whole process super simple. All right, so the first step, we're going to create an account with Mint.com. The great news is it's free, so it's not going to cost you anything. You just put a few minutes into creating the account and linking everything up. So you go to Mint.com, and then we're going to sign up for free. So, of course, it's going to ask you for your email, your phone number, and a password, and then, then we're going to sign up. So it's going to send you a code to your phone, and you put in the code, and then we'll verify. Then they ask you your country, your zip code, put that in. Then it's going to bring you to where you would link your accounts. So that's the next step. So step 2 is we're going to link our other our bank accounts, all these accounts, into Mint so that Mint has all our information in one place. So, for example, if you have a Chase Bank account, we'll go ahead and click here on Chase. And then it's going to ask us to put in our user ID and password for our Chase account. So this will give it access to log into your account on your behalf and pull in the information into Mint. Now, you can trust their security. If you're worried about that, you can look into it. But Mint is reputable. It's owned by the same people as TurboTax and all that kind of stuff. So it'll log into your account and it'll make the link. And once it's successful, it'll tell you. And we'll go ahead and say, okay, let's add another account. So then let's say our next thing is we want to link a Capital One account. Then once we do that, it'll same thing. And we keep going through until you've got all your bank accounts, all your credit cards, all your student loans, just any financial account you have, link it in here into Mint, like your stock market account, all that stuff. Link it in here. If you don't find it here, you can type it in. So type in your account, find it, and search it up and then link it. So you get all your financial information into one place so you can have an overview and be a CEO of your finances. It's really helpful. So then once you're done, this is the overview you're going to have in your Mint dashboard. You'll see like all your cash that you have outstanding on your credit cards. Scroll down a little bit further and you'll see all your total assets and your total debts and then your net worth. Your net worth number is really your biggest indicator of your financial well-being. You don't need to necessarily worry so much about what it is today, so much as it's moving in a positive direction. You want to constantly be growing that number and not seeing it diminish. You'll also be able to see your credit score on here as well. So the next step is to teach Mint to categorize your spending from your bank accounts. And that way you're going to get some insightful information that you can use for planning for the future in terms of budgeting and that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is click into transactions. And what you'll see here is it'll populate from your bank accounts your transaction history. So things that you've spent money on, they'll pull in here, and then it'll tell you the description of what it is, and it'll assign a category for it. But maybe it's incorrect or it doesn't know, and this is where you can teach it. And the point of that is that it'll then do it automatically in the future, so you don't have to do anything more. And that way it'll auto-categorize things, and you'll know where your money is being spent and what kind of categories. And then you can adjust your behavior around that. So what we'll do is this court thing was like a fee. So I don't want it to be labeled as a car expense. I want it to be labeled as a fee. So I'm going to change it to that. So once you've gone through and done all that, we're going to enter in bills. So Mint can tell us about upcoming bills and notify me if I have a bill to pay. And that way I'm not having to worry about it and know if I have bills coming all over the place. So from our dashboard, we'll click on bills and then add online bills or offline bills, whatever. And put in whatever it is, like health insurance or whatever. So once we do all that and get a bunch of bills in here, like it'll give us an overview of what's coming up and when. So it'll give you like a calendar overview. And that also, again, kind of helps you have a view of what bills are coming, like what cash you have available, you know, that kind of stuff, to get a better sense of your money in a much shorter time frame. If you have to be checking every account all the time, that's a waste of time and a real headache. So the next step is to analyze your past behavior. So this way you can get some insight on what you've done in the past and maybe know ways you can tweak your behavior for the future to better utilize your money and save more. So if you click over to trends and then spending, you can either look at over time or by category or whatever. So in this situation, we're looking at spending over time. We're looking at the last year. So we can see September was a huge month compared to the next couple months. You can see that in this scenario, there's a lot of variability between months. Not every month is the exact same. But if you get an average of what's happening over the 12 months, you get a better picture of what to plan for on a monthly basis. So even though it's not 1,800 every month that happens, if you average it out, that's what the average is, and that can help you plan for the future. So then if we switch over to spending by category, we can look at it in a different way. Looking by category might find out some interesting information like, oh, wow, I didn't realize a bunch of my money is going towards food and then my car. You might learn some things from that and realize like, oh, so much money is going towards food. Maybe I could cut back on that. Versus like, oh, well, not much money is going towards entertainment, so I'm perfectly fine there and probably don't need to do anything about my entertainment spending, but maybe I could change my food behavior to save a good deal of money. So if we want to dig a little bit deeper in the weeds and analyze a little bit more, what we can do is export this information to Excel and play with it a little bit. So I'm going to do that real quick. And then it comes up like this. So we've got each of our categories and how much we spent. And remember, this is over the last year. So you can see in these categories, this is how much we've spent over the last 12 months, and for a total of $21,000. If we want to find out what that is on a monthly basis, we divide each of these by 12. So we see with food, it's like $360, car, $270, and so on. And we see that we're spending about $1,800 a month, like we saw in Mint. But what we want to use this for is to then tweak our budget to, like, let's say our goal was, instead of spending $1,800 a month, we only wanted to spend $1,500 a month. So we can start to use this to, like, think about it a little bit and tweak. So let's make a new column here. Just copy it over. And then what I'm going to do is change, like, oh, okay, I said my food spending seems to be high. Maybe if I set my food budget for only $300 a month and then cut out traveling, then I can bring that down to less than $1,500 a month. And so I know what I would need to do. Like, I could leave everything the same and just change my food spending behavior and cut out traveling, and I can meet my goal of $1,500 a month in spending. So then what we want to do is take that and put it back into Mint so that it's automatically telling you what you're spending on these categories. So that's our next step. We're going to set our budget in Mint. So back on the dashboard, we're going to go to Budgets and create a budget. We're going to go ahead and set our food budget. So remember, our food, we're saying $300 a month. So we'll come in here, we'll say every month, type in 300. We're going to go ahead and save that. Then we set another one. We go, okay, auto. I'm going to put the 270, put 270 in, and so on. But in this case, I don't want to overcomplicate things. I'm not going to set like a taxes budget, like, or that's like stupid. This is just like de minimis stuff, and like I'm not going to plan around that. So what I'm going to do is just sum it all together. And we say, okay, I'm just going to set a miscellaneous expenses budget for $920 a month, and just use that, because I don't want to deal with all the details of all the dumb little categories, and that doesn't really help me in my planning. So I'm just going to set a food budget, a car budget, and an everything else budget, you know, aside from my rent kind of thing. So what you can see is measuring up the spending of the month versus what the budget is. So $266 has already been spent this month versus the $300 budget. So you know it's running tight versus what your budget was. Versus like the car, more has been spent on the car than what was budgeted, so already over. But it'll give you an overview there here. And you can have your income coming in here too to see that everything's balancing. Once you've done all this, you are set on autopilot. Your budgeting is automated, and you'll have a much better overview of your finances and your financial health, your spending patterns and history, and your bills that are coming up and when you should be paying them. It's super helpful, and the fact that it's free is like, why would you not just spend half an hour getting this set up to have a great overview of your finances and really make a huge difference in your planning? So go ahead and do this, set up Mint, and tell me how it works for you.